Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you on this Monday, August 10th from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, as always. Joined now by Teddy Greenstein from the Chicago Times, longtime writer for the Chicago Times, covered the Big Ten for a long time, and I cannot think of anyone more apropos to have on today. First of all, Teddy, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
You got it, guys. Good morning.
Man, every time we think we've gotten by a hurdle, it just seems like another one pops up in front of us. And a lot of scuttlebutt yesterday started happening with the Big Ten potentially canceling football season. That luckily that hasn't happened yet. I don't know if that's going to change, but man, it's just saying we can't have a day to enjoy much, Teddy.
Yeah, it's coronavirus is pretty relentless, and we're seeing its effect on college football, as we obviously did in early to mid-March on that March 11th day when we were in Indianapolis and found out the basketball tournament had to be canceled, and now obviously it's trending really, really strongly towards football not being played. So it's sad, and I'm sure we'll know something in the next few days.
And I know that we always, no matter what the tragedy is, whether it's a tornado or a death or whatever, we get by it, and we'll get by this. But this is going to be devastating to the Big Ten, to college football, to kids. I mean, it's the trickle-down effect is just – I don't even know where it stops, to be honest with you.
It's so true because, it's probably going to affect tons of non-revenue sports. As you guys know, I mean, sports departments are not run like a business right now. There are really only two teams that make money, and those two support all the other varsity sports. So, I think Ohio State has like 34, 35 varsity sports, so only two of them bring in all the cash. So it's probably going to affect those, the non-revs, and then it's definitely going to affect these athletic departments. A lot of people around the country have been feeling it. At the Tribune, we were furloughs, and I'm sure there's going to be mass layoffs at athletic departments because football revenue is like between $50 and maybe up to $100 million a year for these departments. It's unbelievably hard to move on without.
We still have him? Still there? Oh, sorry. Yeah, and I was going to say, well, the Big Ten is probably in the best situation to handle it. They're also going to take the biggest hit maybe because they had a much more successful, the Big Ten network. They stand to lose probably more than any other conference.
Maybe. I mean, it's interesting. I was talking to somebody in the Big East, and the Big East obviously doesn't have football. So if you don't have football, you're not going to miss football revenue. So, those schools obviously are not going to be affected as much. But right when you're talking about the Big Ten and, these giant stadiums, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin, Iowa, they bring in a ton of money, and that's money that these schools have been accustomed to having every year.
In Northwestern, they're in Chicago, so their town itself is not going to be hurt nearly like in Ann Arbor, Bloomington, East Lansing, all these small towns where these Big Ten colleges are. They are basically wrapped around these colleges, and it's just, again, I talked about that trickle-down effect where no tailgating, all that stuff that happens every Saturday in the Big Ten and everywhere. But it's life as we know it is possibly going to take another major hit.
Yeah, that's such a great point, and that's the thing. I mean, is college football even college football without the tailgating and without the crowds? Because, best case scenario this year, I think you'd have no tailgating and maybe crowds limited to like 20%. So, oh man, this virus has gotten the best of us. It absolutely sucks. Everything that's happened, the fact that the best case is not even a really good case, I think tells you what it is, but it's so true. I mean, think about all those businesses that thrive on those 6, 7, or 8 fall football Saturdays. I feel terrible for everybody who loses money and is going to be damaged.
Is there any percentage of a chance that this season happens?
I mean, 5%, 10%. I mean, I was talking to somebody late last week, and we were making our estimates, and I had said, all right, I'll say 20% chance that it starts, 1% chance that it finishes. And he looked at me like I was being the most negative guy in the world. And then 2 days later, it looks like, to say 20% chance that it starts looks like, were you crazy? I mean, it looks more like 5%. So I just don't think it's going to happen. Maybe they push it down, and then maybe there's a breakthrough with testing. Like if they told us tomorrow that there was a way to rapidly test these guys where you could wake up at 6:30, get a test, and know by 7 or 7:30 whether it's positive or not, and then if it's positive, you wouldn't walk in the football complex, then maybe they could do it, but we just don't seem to be there on testing yet.
Yeah, that seems to be the problem is we're behind on everything. And unfortunately, as a country, we seem to be taking the biggest hit. We have the most cases, and it's not a great look. I wish we would have been a little bit more prepared for that, because last spring when this happened, we were all this jaws on the ground, but no way in the world did any of us think that come this fall, we're going to be doing it all over again.
That's what stings, right? I mean, we kind of all suffered in March and April, and we're staying inside, doing all the things we should have, and yet still, I mean, these cases, obviously we saw the brutal rise in July. So, man, we got to hope a vaccine comes for a million reasons, one of which is so we can get our sports back the way we're accustomed.
You're in Chicago. You're at the heart of the Big Ten. What's the pulse like there?
Yeah, I mean, there's just a feeling that it's going to be canceled soon. That's certainly the concern. I mean, I think there's some schools that probably want to play. I mean, you hear a lot about Penn State, so I think that's why a decision has not been made yet. Maybe it's 6, maybe it's 7-7, but they can't go on if more than a couple of Big Ten schools don't want to play. And, I think the presidents that are being more cautious are probably going to end up convincing the presidents who are a little more willing to roll the dice.
So when we talk about, I mean, I've read the articles a couple different ways. When you talk about them not playing, are they talking about pushing the season back and having it, more in a winter-ish time frame / spring, or are they talking about just canceling altogether?
Well, I mean, if they cancel it, they're not going to say. I mean, I don't think they would rule out the spring. I mean, if Kevin Warren comes out this week and says we're not playing fall football, I think then they start to look into the possibility of the spring. Obviously, that's 6 months away, so who knows what everything's going to look like in 6 months. I don't see spring football as particularly viable. I think two main reasons. One, I just don't think it's right to ask college athletes to play twice in one calendar year. And then I think anybody with really any NFL hopes is not going to play. So, I don't know, do you want to have Ohio State without its 7 best players up against Michigan? Is that really fair? I just don't. I don't really see the upside. I mean, I think the only upside then is, give us some entertainment and recoup some money, but I don't think that's really worth it. I would just sort of put all the eggs into the 2021 basket at that point. But I think they would certainly look into the spring.
Yeah, I'm asking you like you, like you're the decision maker, and I don't mean it to be that way, but I've just read enough articles about it that I haven't seen them address the fact of. So let's say they either cancel the football season or move it back to the spring. What does that do from the standpoint of basketball starting in November? Do they then move that because it's a winter sport? Do they still move it back and start it in the next calendar year, or would it go ahead and be able to start in November? Have they talked about that at all?
No.
My sense on basketball is that they're going to do conference only, and I could definitely envision conference only, starting in early January. By then, hopefully, we'll have a vaccine. I mean, hopefully, we will have made some advancements. I think there's reason for optimism with basketball. Obviously, much smaller teams, not really a full-on contact sport. I think hoops can happen, but if you ask them about it now, they'll say, "Well, depends on the science, depends on the testing." So here we are on August 10th. What's our world going to look like on, say, November 10th?
Well, I got a text from a writer from the Hoosier.com says that Dan Patrick is reporting that the Big Ten had an internal vote, and by a 12-2 margin, league members opted on not having a football season. Nebraska and Iowa were the only schools that voted to play this fall. He said that apparently that we'll hear about this tomorrow. So not going to be surprised if it happens. I wouldn't have been anyway, but now this just continues to add to that. But it seems like it all started with the MAC, and the MAC truthfully did this because of money issues. They lost all of those 3 games that each of their teams got to play against teams for paydays went away. That kind of really changed their season, but it has it's been the domino that has really started this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, the Big Ten wasn't really worried about the MAC. They weren't really worried about UConn. Absolutely right. I mean, the MAC and UConn, they can say, oh, well, we're doing this because we care about, health, safety, and well-being, but obviously it's about finances. Those schools don't bring in that much to start with. And then, as you mentioned, when you take away the guaranteed games, they become, financial losers, essentially. I mean, those programs are going to lose money. And then for them to go through the testing protocols where they're testing their guys a couple times a week, and then are they liable for lawsuits, if players get sick? So, yeah, I mean, that was a really wise decision for a league like that. The only leagues that could theoretically do this are the ones that, bring in a massive amount of revenue that they can handle the testing and all the, potential negatives that come with playing.
Teddy, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us, man. I hope all this stuff that we've talked about does not happen, and we're just crazy and we're all nuts, and we wake up tomorrow and it's like, poof, everything is great. But I don't expect that to be the case, unfortunately.
I'm with you, brother. Hopefully that happens. It's been a pleasure being with you.
This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.